Welcome to the Grounded Guidance Podcast, where we explore the transformative potential of living in alignment with our intuition. I'm your host, Karen Williams. Each day we receive countless intuitive messages that guide us on our journey toward a more fulfilling life. Are you listening? Through personal experiences, ongoing self-reflection, and captivating stories, we will explore the wisdom of individuals who have embraced the magic of following their intuition and fearlessly sharing their light with the world. These conversations are designed to meet you exactly where you are, serving as a gentle push from the universe to join us on this enlightening journey. Welcome, everybody, to the Grounded Guidance Podcast, and welcome Ann Marie McKenzie, who is a soulful business strategist, advanced numerologist, spiritual teacher, and heart-centered coach who weaves the practical with the magical to empower people to build a life they love. She uses numerology to bring magic back into people's businesses and how to energetically connect with people who you serve that are in alignment for you and with you. Welcome, Ann Marie.
Thank you so much for having me, Karen. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you and your audience.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you're here. Just a little recap. Today we're going to dive into the energy of 2024 through numerology, through the lens of numerology, and look at how it's a universal 8-year, and just kind of, in short, the opportunity for all of us to reclaim the power of infinite abundance. I am thrilled to learn more.
Good. Well, I love talking all things number and numerology, so I've come to the right place.
Excellent. So let's kind of just start from the beginning, maybe not the beginning of time, but the beginning of kind of what led you to this moment right here.
Numerology came across my path by accident and yet on purpose. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't seeking another modality. I had declared to a friend who was also a coach that, and this was in 2021. So everything had went sideways. We were all shifting our businesses. Yeah. And I had said to her, this is the year that I get clear on abundance, that I understand abundance, that I understand numbers, and then I have a really great relationship with money. And she said, I think that you would love this free 5-day event that's coming up. And it was a numerology event. So not what I expected. And what was really funny about all of it is that I had approached it from a masculine lens. I remember saying to her, I'm going to get a new bookkeeper, and I'm going to hire a new accountant, and I'm going to have dates with my money, and I'm going to look at reports, and I'm going to make it fun and listen to music and have a playlist of all this money music. And so this wasn't what I expected at all, but yet that is not how I would guide any of my clients to go about reclaiming their power of infinite abundance or working with money, right? And so I jumped onto this free 5-day event, and it was pure magic. And everything about it was a remembering and was a truth. So it wasn't, even though I was hearing it for the first time, I knew I wasn't hearing it for the first time. I have definitely been a numerology teacher, a student before. I have definitely woven the magic of numerology in past lives. And so it came really quickly. It came very easily. And I dove in and immediately started integrating it into my own business. And before the course was completed, I had called in enough money to pay for that course just by offering numerology readings. So I just hit the ground running, and I've just expanded it as much as humanly possible ever since to weave it into life and business. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. To talk about alignment, right? That was in perfect alignment for you.
Yeah. It really was. And it the biggest thing that it did for me was help me remove, shift, change, transmute, eliminating belief that I wasn't good with money or that I wasn't good with numbers. Because it reminded me that all throughout school, I was gifted and would go to enrichment classes for math. And I always had very high grades in math. It wasn't until I reached grade 11, grade 12 where I struggled because there was more science that was woven in and words that was woven in. And I've always been the type of person that if I don't understand why, or if it's not applicable to my everyday life, then I don't want to do it. I don't want to waste my time and energy on it. So when I was being introduced to certain types of math in grade 11, 12, I knew, I said, well, how am I going to use this every day? Well, if you become an architect, this is great. I'm like, I'm not going to be an architect. And so why do I need to do this? But I claimed it as a limiting belief that I wasn't good with numbers. So I removed that energetic block, and then kind of like the floodgates opened in a really good way because of that. And I began to understand the energetics of it and the math and the science behind numerology as well. And so when I combined all of those pieces together, I'm like, this is pure magic. And when we can understand the numbers and the energies of them, we can start to interpret, and we can start to predict as well. And that knowledge and that wisdom is so empowering because it supports us to plan and prepare, not control, but plan and prepare and calibrate to it. And when we do that, it's a language. It's another one of the languages of the universe. The universe hears us and is like, okay, these two are here to play. They understand what's happening because we're aligning with that. Like an example is today is a 5 energy day, which is about adventure and fun and freedom. And so I made sure that I borrowed the neighbor's dog for an hour and went out for a hike and went out into the woods.
Love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said something about that numbers are another way the universe communicates with us. And I have found that to be so true. In so many, it just kind of weaves this beautiful, like serpent energy into everything. If you pay attention, but really, numbers are everywhere in our natural world. You look at the golden ratio, the Fibonacci sequence, right? That is a mathematical equation, and it looks so divine and perfect.
Yes.
When you look at the way that it shows up. So, yeah, I'm curious about your connection with your past lives. How do you believe you were a numerologist, or how did it show up for you? Or how do you think it showed up for you?
Well, I was in Atlantis. I was definitely in Egypt. I held a position of power. I was a leader there. There's visions, there's dreams, there's just this divine knowing. And I was really struggling about 10 years ago. And it was my acupuncturist that recommended somebody who works with past lives and who is a channeler. And I didn't know this person at all. I had my assumptions. I had my, guesses of like, I think I was in Egypt, or I think it was in Atlantis, but no one had really validated that. And this person didn't know me other than my phone number that we text, and I had booked a call or booked a session, and we met in person. And I remember her saying, "Oh, the Queen of Egypt has arrived." And I was like,
Wow.
"What?" And she said, "You were in Atlantis, but when Atlantis fell, you were the queen in Egypt, and you were working in collaboration, and you were leading with light. And many people didn't understand that. And the people that didn't understand that or wanted to obtain and hold that power are the ones that betrayed you. And then that led to the fall of Atlantis. And I felt the weight of the world on my shoulders.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to admit,
I
at
could
that
feel
time.
it just in you saying that.
I was like, wait, what?
Wow.
I was, I wasn't real. I would always joke about being a queen, and yeah, it was definitely coming from more of a place of humor. But to hear that, I was like, oh. And then to weave that into numerology, this is where numerology began, as Atlantis and
Wow.
Egypt. And, the way that numerology might come across our path it's never going to be expressed to us. Let me rephrase that, because we are literally writing a book about this. It was part of Atlantis and Egypt. And then Pythagoras started his school. We all know Pythagoras.
Yes.
And he was a wonderful person, in my opinion. He allowed women into the school, which was unheard of in Egypt at that time. I believe his girlfriend was a huge catalyst in bringing numerology as we know it mainstream But at that time, they knew that if the information got into the wrong hands, that it would be used as a form of power and control. And so they hid the information in a deck of cards, which is something
Oh,
that I
wow.
was obsessed with as a
Really?
child. I always wanted to play cards. So when in my numerology courses, that was brought to me, I had instant tears. Again, because of the remembering, it was happy tears. It
Hmm.
was, my intuition just naturally guided me and led me to this form of magic, that science and mathematical, that I've always played with. And so it was hidden in a deck of cards. It evolved into tarot, and eventually now it's coming back around. Nobody's going to get burned at the stake anymore, I don't think, for
Hmm.
playing with this sort of magic. But it was
Wow.
hidden for quite some time. And it was the Order of the Magi. It was a group of men. It was
Mm.
that, surprise, surprise,
Yeah.
that took that away. And all of the literature that we are finding about numerology right now is very heavy in the masculine. And that is why we are writing another book. I was invited to co-author a book, and I suggested to the publisher, how would you feel about this book being about numerology? Because what's really frustrating me is, as a student still of numerology, even though I've mastered a lot of it and I understand now so much to be able to build out business plans and strategic plans for people and understand their leadership and who their soulmate clients are, it's still very masculine heavy and it's
Yeah.
very negative. But when I look at the numbers or when I pull a card, intuitively, that's not what I'm getting, is not this negative interpretation. Just like in tarot, which maybe is a little bit, people are more familiar with, when they get the
Mhm.
tarot card, they're like, oh no, everything is doom and gloom. And the tarot card is an amazing card to get, in my
Right.
opinion, because it represents change. It's going to help you shed what doesn't work for you anymore. It's going to help you release and let go of the things that are taking away your joy and your freedom and your
Yeah.
abundance. And is it going to be scary? Is it going to be crunchy as fuck? Probably. There's going to be some challenges that come with it. But when you come out the other side, there's beauty in that, right? It's
Mm.
like the sunshine and rainbows after the storm.
Yeah. I heard you saying about the identification of your past lives, and which is kind of a big puzzle piece when you step into that in this current incarnation. Do you feel
Mm-hmm.
like identifying that and then stepping into numerology was kind of a big, like, you said it was remembering, but it was almost like your paths aligned and there was just this, like, almost this explosion and everything just fell into place. There was,
Mm-hmm.
even writing the book and your classes that you offer and becoming a master in such a short amount of time,
Mm-hmm.
right? It was almost instantaneous for you.
It was. And that's what we all want to
Yeah.
know, is what is our purpose? What is the
Right.
meaning of my life? What am I
Yeah.
here to do?
Yeah.
We all have soul contracts. That's what I love about numerology, is simply looking at the day that we are born
Hmm.
and the name that we are given. We can look at what our soul contract is in this lifetime to understand, okay, this is where I'm meant to focus my intention and my energy. And
Yeah.
these are going to be my ongoing spiritual assignments. These are going to be my challenges that I am meant to overcome. This is the karma that I'm here to complete. These are the
Hmm.
relationships that I agreed to have in this lifetime that are going to teach me the things that I came here to learn for my own soul's growth and evolution, that's going to contribute to the collective consciousness. That's powerful stuff.
It is. Yeah. And so many people are looking for the tools to assist them on their journey, whether it's astrology or numerology or
Mm-hmm.
but numerology really has taken a front seat, in my opinion, and in a lot in the most recent, or a lot, let's see, I got to rephrase this. A lot recently, I would
Mm-hmm.
say. This is what I've been feeling and seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And people are really curious about everything related to numerology. So I want to start kind of 30,000 foot overview for those that have no idea what
Mm-hmm.
numerology is when that are
Mm-hmm.
listening. And then let's do a more granular view of it before we dive into the energy of next year.
Okay. Numerology can be very simple, We've all been playing with numbers since we were very young. We are looking at a manifestation cycle of 1 to 9. Universally, there's a collective energy that we all experience. And then we peel back layers and we have personal experiences energetically as well. And within each of those, there's layers upon layers upon layers. When we are looking at the universal energies, we're always working with 1 to 9. There are some definitely special numbers within that. For example, we have on October 10th, the 1010th portal, on November 11th, the 1111 portal. We just had the 1212 portal in December. I really love talking about Friday the 13th because 13 is actually a very lucky number. It represents the goddess, it represents feminine. So there are other numbers besides 1 to 9. There are master numbers 22, 33, 44, but we're typically working with this manifestation cycle of 1 to 9, which is very easy and very simple. In my personal belief, we are not coded with the number 1 because that represents God, goddess, all that is. So when we start to look at our own personal energy, we are working with the numbers 2 to 11 as the ruling number, as the divine essence of who it is that we are. And then all the other numbers revert back to 1 to 9. So when we look at all the other layers in a person's energetic code, we are still only working with 1 to 9. So it is quite simple. It's looking at every number from 1 to 9 and looking at the empowered state and the disempowered state, or the high vibration and the low vibration. And once we understand that and we start to understand different soulful strategies to align and calibrate to that, that's where the power lies. That's where the magic shows up. It's okay to be in a low vibrational state of a number. That awareness is there though, because obviously we don't want to stay in low vibrational states for very long. The awareness is there. And then, oh, it's a 5 energy day. Well, if I go outside and connect with Mother Earth and move my body and have an adventure and focus on freedom, that's really what it's about. That 5 energy wants freedom. It doesn't like being told what to do. It loves change. And so when I was starting to feel tired, when I was starting to feel obligated with my to-do list, I call it a to-do list, not a to-do list. That's when I was starting to feel the low vibration, and I paused and thought, what would 5 energy do? 5 energy would get out of my office, would get outside, would move my body, go have an adventure with my favorite 4-legged friend.
So that's interesting. Can every number, every day have the polarity of the high and low vibration? Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So depending on where you're at or how you're interpreting the energy, is that how it? Okay.
Yes. And when it comes to universal energy, we look at the year, we look at the month, we look at the day energy. And one of the things that I've started to do is understand the containers as well. So this week, for example, if memory serves me correct, Monday is a 3 energy, Sunday's a 9 energy. So I look at that container of the 3-9. What is the 3-9 container showing us this week? And we can do that for the month, and we can do that for the year as well. But
you said Sunday, Monday, because that's the start of a week for people. Some started on Sunday, some started on Monday. Is that why?
The first day of the week, universally, we experienced that on a Monday. So Monday was a 3 energy, and the last day was a 9 energy.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. Yeah.
Sunday was a 9 energy. So then this week in my community, I've been talking about.
How is that going to hold the whole week? Okay, I understand now. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
The whole week is contained within those 2 numbers, right?
Exactly.
The start of the week, the end of the week. Okay.
And it's within this month, and this is the energy of the month, and it's within this year, and that's the energy of the year. And so there's layers upon layers, and I do my very best to keep it straightforward, simple, easy, manageable, and really these strategies that make sense. And it's not a coincidence that since I've started integrating this, I get emails all the time from my emails that I send to my entire list. wow, I was feeling that today. Everybody else is talking about how we should set new intentions because it's a new moon and it's the 12/12 portal. But here you are saying, no, don't. Mercury is going retrograde. Now's not the time. Now's the time to set micro goals. Now's the time to set non negotiables, not micro goals, but non negotiables, things that are going to support our health and wealth being,
Yeah.
and still visualize what it is that we want, but not actually set the goal. So it's fun. It gets to be really fun
Mm-hmm.
when you
Mm-hmm.
understand those layers and you pull those pieces together. And as a psychic and as an intuitive, I work with a spiritual support team, and it gets to be a lot of fun. The other day, they wanted me to sing a song, and I was like, seriously, please don't make me go in front of my community. And it wouldn't stop. This song, Get Out of My Dreams and Into My Car. Do you remember that song? Beep beep,
Get
yeah.
out.
And
Yeah.
the
Billy Ocean.
yes,
Of course I do.
exactly. And
Yeah.
it just wouldn't stop. Like beep 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 beep. I'm like, please stop. And they're like, we're not going to stop the beep beeps until you show up and
One of
sing
my
it and let
favorites.
them. Yes. And it's really cool because the message, Get Out of My Dreams and Into My Car, is have an idea and go experiment with it. You
Yeah.
won't know if it's something that is actually going to land and you want to anchor into and embody unless you go out and try it. So
Yeah.
have an idea and go try it, beep beep, and have fun with it. And so it was amazing. There was
That's awesome.
a lot
I
of
love that.
comments, and I was letting people know, I'm like, you can laugh at me, it's okay, please do. And
Yeah.
yeah,
That's wonderful.
it's cool.
I love that interpretation. I'm curious about, so the container thing really makes sense to me. The bookends is kind of how I'm seeing it. The bookend of a week, the bookend of a month, right? The front end of a month, and then of a
Exactly.
year, right?
Exactly.
I'm curious about the energy of a number. Like I want to know where, yeah, I don't even
Okay.
know how to ask the question, but like when you say it's a 5 day,
Okay.
what's
So
what's that mean?
So I'll do a very quick overview and rundown. So
Okay.
one energy is the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
new pathways, ideas,
Okay.
innovation, starting. The low vibration of that is being alone or being stuck or not having a vision, that clarity to move forward. Two, community, unity, partnerships, collaborations, intuition. The low vibration, disconnect, trying to operate as a silo. Three, energy is very expansive, creative, and abundant.
Mm-hmm.
The low vibe of it, worry, anxiety, heady, trying to
Yeah.
think our way through things. Four, foundational, physical, loves movement, sees problems as opportunities, organized, system, structures. Low vibe, overwhelmed, not having the resources that it needs to solve the problem. Five is the change maker, loves freedom, loves adventure, has a different perspective, a heart centered perspective, and can connect to all the other numbers. When we lay it out on a tic tac toe grid, that's
Yeah.
the energy grid. The five is right in the center. So it's really easy for it to relate to all the other numbers. And so it's also the energy where that day could show up and you're like, this makes no sense. And it's because the five touches on all the other numbers. So
Okay.
it can be a
That visual
chameleon.
helps me a lot, actually. Thank you. Yeah.
It can be a chameleon, and it can say, oh, well,
Okay.
I'm going to lean on the eight today and tap into a little bit of the eight or a little bit of the one.
Okay.
Five doesn't like to be told what to do, and five doesn't like to do the same things over and over again. Six is about peace and harmony and soul family. The low vibration of six is conflict, disharmony, chaos. Really loves to have things aesthetically pleasing. The seven is the action taker, risk taker, the disruptor. The low vibe of the seven is not trusting and not believing in our own divine intuitive gifts. The seven's a very spiritual badass. 2023 is a seven energy year.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Eight is here to be the master, to step into mastery of gifts, deep devotion, commitment, flow, momentum. The low vibration of the 8 is playing small, allowing what you can't do to stop you from the things that you can do.
Mm.
And the 9 energy represents the end of the cycle. So death, completion, releasing, letting go, celebrating. The 9 is here to be of service to humanity, loves giving. The low vibration of the 9 is not understanding the meaning or the purpose, or not being able to give back to others. Just in a very brief
Yeah. Thank you.
overview of all of them. So you can
So
see how that's a manifestation cycle, right?
yes,
Yes.
absolutely. So do the numbers, your life path number or the universal year number, do those all form around that framework? Do they have, like, if I'm a life path 3, does
Mm-hmm.
my, what you said about 3, the positive and the negative, does it similar to that, or is it something completely different? A 3
Very
is a 3
similar.
is a 3,
A three
right?
is a three is a three is a
Okay.
three. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Yes. And you can see how, oh, okay, that makes sense, that if a 3 and a 9 are hanging out together and both of them can be critical
Mm-hmm.
and both of them can be judgmental, that looking at the bookends of the week, it's like, check yourself before you wreck yourself.
Right.
Because on the low side of that is you not taking care of yourself. And so what does that look like? What is the theme that's coming out for us this week? What's the invitation of that? So we get to look at that from the lens of the entire year of 2024.
Mm-hmm.
And I love seeing everything from a higher perspective
Mm-hmm.
before going into the nitty gritty details of everything. And I'm blessed with double 9s in my energetic code. I also have ruling number 3 as my divine essence of who it is that I am. So that gives me that ability to have that bird's eye view, to just pause
Mm-hmm.
and take a look at things from that bird eye view, and really sink into that first before coming into, okay, this is what makes sense
Yeah.
for me to do this upcoming year, that's really going to have a massive impact, hopefully
Yeah.
with minimal effort.
Yeah. I'm curious. I've heard that the universal year, like, take for example the 2024 coming up, that energy really comes in the fall of the year prior,
Mm.
or it's starting to trickle into the year prior. Is that true? Like, when are we feeling the energy of 2024? I mean, the calendar year is very archaic, right? I mean,
Yes.
the energy does not just start on
No,
January 1st, 2024. So
no.
when can people, maybe we could do two things here. Talk about the energy of 2023 and kind of the wrap
Mm-hmm.
up of that, and then
Mm-hmm.
how that's transitioning for
Mm-hmm.
2024. And I'm already feeling it. I mean, I've
Yeah.
been feeling it since about September. So I'm
Mm-hmm.
curious, what's your perspective on that?
All of us are done with the
Right.
seven. And
Yes.
so people
Yes.
like ourselves, the light workers that are here to, contribute to the collective consciousness, are like, let's just call in 8 a little bit early, because 7 is tough stuff sometimes. So the
Yeah.
answer is yes, the energy has already come in. It doesn't mean that 7 is done. 7's
Right.
going to trickle into 2024. Absolutely. Very similar to Mercury retrograde, the day that we are
Mhm.
connecting. It's official. Mercury is retrograde, but there's a shadow period
Right.
where a couple weeks prior, we start to have communication problems. We start to have tech issues. And it also depends on, do you believe in Vedic astrology, or all of that shifts and changes. And I'm
Yeah.
like yourself in the sense, like you mentioned, our archaic calendar, like the Gregorian
Mhm.
calendar was created on
Yeah.
purpose to keep us out of alignment
Yes.
and not understanding the natural rhythms and cycles, because
Agree.
when we are not in alignment, it's easier to be controlled.
Yes. Yes. Amen.
So it's not, well, on January 1st, this is what's
Right.
going to happen. The other unique thing that has happened in 2023 that's ushering this in right
Mhm.
now, we're in this, I call it the washing machine cycle of, like, we're ending and we're starting, and we're ending and we're starting, because it's 9191. It's like, we're coming, we're going. I don't know. I think
Oh.
I'm over this. No, I'm not over this. And there's duality because November was a 9 energy. So that's my community and myself. We're like, let's wrap this year up. We've already done it. So many people are moving into, just reflecting and wrapping out the year. We're like, we're done with that. And we also know that there's going to be reminders in December as that one energy of things that we didn't wrap up, that we didn't complete. But we'll get that opportunity again in January because 2024 is starting out as a 9 energy month.
So you say 9191, that's November, December, January, February, correct?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure that's clear.
With the 7 and the 8. So for me, I was like, well, that's quite interesting because we have gone through a shit show in the last few years.
Yeah.
And I really do think that it's supporting us to not just complete the year, but to complete what's happened in 2020, 2021, and 2022 as well. Yes. There's a lot of grief that has been involved.
Yes.
Particularly this year. And grief that's unexplained. Grief that comes from our childhood, comes from our teenage years, comes from aspects of our adulthood that we had forgotten about, comes in from past lives that we didn't even know or understand, and definitely comes from the 2020, 2021, 2022 debacle that we all went through.
I've heard that 2024 is the completion cycle of all of that.
Not
when
quite.
You mentioned
close.
Not quite. Okay.
Close.
But you mentioned grief. That is, I felt that on a personal and collective level this year significantly. And everything you mentioned was so spot on. I mean, just stuff from childhood, stuff from past life, stuff from present life, and just swimming in this. I don't even know really what's happening. It's just, and then feeling it in all these areas of my body, the deep, deep grief. Yeah. But I think humanity is also experiencing this too.
Well, yes, so many of us are empaths and highly sensitive people and psychic sensitives. And yes, we are feeling our own grief, but we are feeling that collective grief that is here to be transmuted and transformed as well. And the only way to do so is to go through it. You don't get to go around it. You don't get to go over it. We have to go through it. And it doesn't mean that it's our responsibility to take on other people's grief or to transmute other people's grief. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that it's inevitable if you're a psychic or an empath or an HSP that you are going to feel that. So it's important to have really strong energetic boundaries in 2024. I've been saying this for quite a few years, but I'm going to keep saying it again because grief is, on the emotional plane, one of the predictions that I have for 2024. It's going to be carried into 2024 because there's still more work for us to do. And that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I do really believe that that's a good thing. I have experienced a lot of loss in my life. I have 7 in my energetic code. The first person that I loved, I lost at a very early age. The first person that died in front of me, I was 5 years old. And it goes on and on. The last time I counted, I have 22 people on my spiritual support team from people that were in my life, very close to me, that I loved near, dear, very deeply, that passed away. So I see the bright side of grief. I know the bright side of grief all too well.
Yeah.
And it's a beautiful gift to have, not as you're going through it, but it's a beautiful gift to have. And so I'm excited for that, for people who haven't gone through that before, who get to see the bright side of grief in the upcoming year.
The bright side of grief. That's that
Let's just sit
that doesn't resonate yet.
Yeah.
Right? When you're in it, I think that's but thank you for that offering, because I'm going to sit with that.
There's a song by Brandy Carlisle, I believe is her name. And the song is called The Eye of the Storm. And I listened to it on repeat when I was losing my mother to cancer. And it is a perfect creative, artistic expression of grief. We don't see the bright side of it because you're in the eye of the storm.
Yeah. What a beautiful reflection. Thank you for that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Losing my mother was a catalyst for me becoming a spiritual teacher. I didn't accept it. I still resisted it. Numerology brought to my attention that I'm the Seven of Clubs, and the Seven of Clubs is a spiritual teacher. Like, I could have just believed it in 2014, but I think I'll wait until 2021 to actually be like, hey, everybody, I'm psychic. Just so you know, I've been able to see ghosts since I was a kid, but
That's
we get to laugh about it now. We get to laugh about it. Like,
yes.
okay, yeah, it happened when it was supposed to. Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about 2024. I really want to empower people to understand what's going to happen for us this year.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because we got blindsided so much in the last few years of, wait, what? Yes. I have no control over this. And so it will give us this sense of power, and it will provide us that opportunity to step into more empowered states, more high vibrational states, so we can hold that light, and we can carry that light for ourselves, for our friends, for our family, for our loved ones, for our community, for the world, but just do so in a way that feels really good and really fun. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah.
Okay.
I love that.
So the 8 energy, when you think about the number 8, 2 concentric circles on top of each other. Mm-hmm. When we lay it on its side, it's an infinity symbol. So it literally represents infinite abundance. Everybody take a sigh of relief, because we lost a lot in 2023. We get to call back that abundance. The things that we lost in 2023 were supporting us to shed what doesn't serve us, and to help us hone in on our gifts that we are here to master, that we are here to devote ourselves to through creativity and through connection, that's going to call in that infinite abundance. The 8, again, as its symbol, as its shape, 2 concentric circles represents duality, represents polarization, represents the light and the dark, the feminine and the masculine, the negative and the positive. The 8 loves momentum. It finds its vigor in traversing both sides. So when we think about that, calling in abundance isn't about being zen as fuck all the time. Like, it's not about constantly holding the light. It's accepting and embracing the shadow as well. And that's why I brought up grief and the brighter side of the grief, because there is a bright side, there is a light side of grief. But we won't get to experience that if we stay stuck, if we're not allowing that flow that the 8 really loves and really wants. And so the 8 is a mirror for us. What hasn't been brought to light yet will be brought to light for us to be healed in 2024, which I love. Every time I go to any type of therapy session, horse therapy, talk therapy, my intention is always, please support me to see what's still left in my heart that wants to be healed, so I could be of higher service to humanity.
Yes.
That's what we all want. We want to end those cycles. And so 8 will provide us with that opportunity. And the really amazing thing that's going to happen because of it is so many people won't take shit anymore. The obligation energy, the people pleasing is done. The victim consciousness is done. The people who have awakened, they will move into that energy and no longer accept that from other people. Unfortunately, the people who do choose to continue to do those things, in some ways, they will be left behind. I'm not saying it's doom and gloom for them forever after, but we'll see this we're going to see this quickening happen. We're going to see this, the momentum of the 8 is going to happen. And so when we look at it from the lens of our relationship, there has been this like separation. And if it's been a slow separation, then it will be falling by the wayside in 2024, because the 8 wants to commit itself to mastering its gifts. And so if there's conflict and drama that's constantly happening over here and it's not contributing to my growth and expansion and my purpose and these gifts that I'm here to serve, I don't have time for that. And I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. I hang out in that space all the time, but I'm really excited for other people to hang out in that space with me as well. It's not a bad thing. It's doing so with love and with light. Some of the predictions that I have for 2024. Oh, actually, before I move into that, do you have any questions? Is that resonating with you? Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a couple questions about an 8 year. So when we look at 8 in terms of an 8 month or an 8 day, does that amplify the 8 energy?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
so is there some sort of practice you have on an 8 year, an 8 day, and an 8 month that to really, are those specific days to amplify what you're working towards or what you're working at calling in?
On those days, so I have 8 soulful strategies that I have called in for 2024. So on those days, I'll focus on manifesting like a boss. And I'm going to encourage everybody to do this as well. Niching down. So this is for the spiritual entrepreneurs. You may think you know who your soulmate clients are, but you don't quite yet. There's the nitty gritty details. Like when they eat a piece of dark chocolate, how many pieces are they eating? And people are like, what does that have to do with? It has a lot to do with everything. Yes.
Everything about your ideal client. Yeah. Okay.
And that's difficult unless you send out surveys. It's not difficult if you know numerology. We can understand who our soulmate clients are through our own energetic code. And we literally have a soulmate client code. So it's more than what airline do they like to fly with and what kind of car do they drive? And when they're hanging out with their friends, what are they doing? That's the surface level stuff. The nitty gritty details are in what's your soulmate client's energetic code? What are their spiritual assignments, their challenges, the problems that they need somebody to help them answer, to find solutions to. So niching down, so getting really clear on
Okay,
that.
so can you, without going too far off here, can you give us an example of what that looks like? Finding that spiritual alignment with your, soul clients or soul connected clients. But what does it look like through numerology? Like what, that might be a big question, but
I can do it really quick if I look at my own personal energetic code.
Sure.
I tried to think of another client and I have to think too hard. So within myself, within my own energetic code, my soulmate client is a 4 of hearts, which if you're not familiar with 4 of hearts, 4 of cups in tarot, so strong foundations in love. They want to have their cake and eat it too. They want to be super successful, but they want to have orgasms on the weekends. Like they want to have deep, meaningful relationships. They want it all. And they don't want to sacrifice. They're tired of sacrificing. They're tired of the burnout cycles. They're tired of the overwhelm. They want to do it in a way that feels really good. That's easy, but also calls in a lot of abundance. That's very structured and very organized. The reason that's my soulmate client is because I step into my sun card, which is the 7 of clubs. So the more I step into my authentic self as a spiritual teacher, the easier it is for me to call in the 4 of hearts. The layers, I'm a ruling number 3, which is an expander. It's not a coincidence that probably 80+% of my clients have 4 1s in their energetic code. Their birthdays are 4 1s. Every single person that comes to me, tell me your challenge. What is it? What problem do you need support with? They have too many ideas and they don't know which one to pick or to anchor into or make a plan. And then I'll say, let me guess, do you have a lot of 1s in your birthday? Mind blown. Yes. I'm born in November on the 17th in 1978. I'm like, oh, wow.
Oh my God.
So it makes sense because I'm here to take an idea and expand it. I also have the arrow of the planner, meaning I know how to make a plan. I have the arrow of frustration, meaning I got to say no. And I teach people how to say no, to make space for the things to say yes. And I have the arrow of activity, meaning I know how to take things across the finish line, and everything that I do leads to success. And that ruling number 3 energy is abundance. Abundance is the birthright. So they're going to have this idea. I'm going to expand it and connect it to abundance. I'm going to help them understand who it is that they are and map out that plan and make it happen. Everything that I've built in my business is based on that. And when I talk about all those aspects, that's when I get the replies back, or that's when I get a lot of comments on my post. Whoa, you're speaking to me. I know I am, because I know who it is that you are. You have too many ideas and you think that that's a problem, or you have a family and you feel guilty when you're with your family because you think you should be working on your business, or when you're working on your business, you feel guilty that you're not being with your family. So let's work on something so it doesn't feel like you're sacrificing one or the other. That's what I mean about niching down, like getting to the nitty gritty details of the problem that you're here to solve for other people.
So when you called in numerology in 2021, was this part of your process, being able to identify your soulmate clients?
I didn't know at the time that that's what was going to happen, but that's what happened.
Wow.
And it was really, there was a lot of breakdowns to breakthroughs in that community. We have an amazing community that supports each other. So it was so exciting to come back and say, everybody's blueprint that I've created has all these ones. I'm like, what do you think that means? And they're like, what? And it's really cool because it makes sense. It's validating. It's something that I knew. Mm-hmm. I'm an ideator. I give people $1 million ideas all the time and expand those ideas. But to have it literally written in front of you, like written in the stars, that's so empowering. It's really amazing. Wow. So taking that, niching down, and that first strategy of manifest like a boss, they work hand in hand. Because again, you're getting very specific. You understand the feelings behind it, which is the emotional intelligence, the heart intelligence. You have the aligning thoughts. That's connected. The inspired action, because you know exactly who it is that you're calling in. So you can go in and create an email or a post that's specific to them. And the universe is like, boom, she's here to play.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, that's alignment right there.
Yeah, it makes it fun. And the 8 wants fun. 100% the 8 wants fun, which is number 3 on my soulful strategy list. Incorporate more play. Incorporate more play.
In 2024, in a universal 8 year. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
More play.
It relates to this. In my predictions, more Dharma alignment is going to happen for people. People are going to understand who they are and their purpose and their soul contract. That's going to happen. It's connected to what we love to do as a child. So when we look back and think about the things that we naturally did as a child, how we played it's going to show up in 2024 that will support us to call in that infinite abundance. So a quick little example, when I was building this business as a side hustle at first in 2015, I said to my therapist, I admitted out loud that I'm afraid to put all this time and energy and effort into something that's not going to play out. Like it's not what I'm supposed to be putting my energy into. And she asked me what I'd like to play as a child. And I said, I'd grab my grandma's buttons in her sewing room and I'd have my cash register set up and I would sell people buttons at lunch. I would call up my chalkboard, line up my Cabbage Patch dolls, my stuffies, and I would teach them things. And I would create choose your own adventure books. I created a book with a friend, The Adventures of Snowy Owl. We did our own illustrations. It was wonderful. And she said, so let me get this straight. You were an entrepreneur who loved to teach people things and you created books. She goes, I think you're on the right track. I was like, whoa.
I really love that story. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And I think I loved climbing trees. And so part of my soulful strategy of my business in the future, I want to do retreats because I want to get back to adventurous things like rafting and zip lining and hiking a mountain with the people that I love. So incorporating more play, just having more fun and play with a deck of cards. Yes. That'll get you interested in numerology. This one's a lot of fun. More yin and less yangin. I just laughed when my spiritual support team said this one. And I'm like, is that how we want to say it? They're like, yep, say it exactly like that. More yin and less yangin. I'm like, okay. So we all know how to do more. And yeah, Let's learn to,
So bringing in the feminine energy and really
yeah,
nurturing and nourishing and self-care and all the things, and
absolutely.
less about more being and less doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is
Mm-hmm.
that about right?
100%.
Yeah.
And along those lines, let's bring it back again to the concentric circles. The mirror
Yeah.
is creating the balance. 8 loves balance, wants balance.
Yeah.
I always see 8 as 4 and 4.
Oh, uh-huh.
It's 5 and 3, it's 7 and 1, it's 6 and 2. Yeah, I get that. But the
Balance.
2 concentric circles, it means it's
Mhm.
4 and 4.
Mhm.
And the 4, again, loves systems and structures and organization to create strong foundations. So if those pieces are in place in our life and in our business, that provides us the space to do less because the system is already in place. In my personal life, one of the things that I do, because they have zero waste kits, is I purchase meal plans. They get
Mhm.
dropped off to my door. So
Yeah.
3 days a week, I don't have to worry about dinner.
Yeah.
Usually it provides me with lunch as well. That's a system. It's like easy peasy. I don't have to think about meal planning. I only have to think about getting a couple of things at the grocery store. It's high vibrational foods. It doesn't have a huge impact on the environment. There's other people in my area that have that food delivery service. So they're not just coming up to my cute little mountain just for me. They're doing it for other people. So putting
Mhm.
those things in place that are really going to nourish and nurture ourselves in life and business.
I have a question about the 4 and 4.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously we could look at the balance. I mean, there's the true balance between 4 and 4, and you're looking at the energy of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Is it whatever the energy of 4 is amplified, or is it, I mean, because then you could have a totally different story looking at 5 and 3, right?
It would
7
be a
and
totally
1,
different story if it was 5
right?
and 3
7
or
and
yeah,
1,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So I'm
It's
curious. Yeah. And knowing that 8 is a balance.
mm-hmm. The 4 energy, the double 4 energy plays a supporting role. So it's, and when you think about it, it makes sense
Yeah.
to devote yourself to something, to become a master of something. You
Yeah.
really commit yourself to it. And through that commitment requires structure. The people, again, that I call in with multiple ones, they're the creatives. They're the creators. They just want to create something new. And my job is to support them to pump the brakes and let's build out everything for this one creative piece, this one creative idea. So when you are on a timeout,
Right.
you can still be selling that in the back end with not putting any more energy into because you've already put the energy into it.
Hmm.
So they're partners. It plays a supportive role.
Hmm.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
Yeah. And the 4 is a cup as well, right? It's a container. So it reminds us to increase our capacity for abundance, increase our capacity to receive, which is that feminine energy, which is the
Mhm.
yin and not the yang and.
I love that.
So in order to make this happen, it's not about doing more, it's about receiving more. And how
Mhm.
do we receive more? Naps. that's my theme
Amen.
right now. That's my
Amen.
answer right now. Nap.
I woke the other
um,
morning thinking, I'm ready for my long winter nap.
I know, right? Yeah, I'm excited for my holidays. Um, Another soulful strategy: practice the law of momentum.
Hmm.
And I love that this one came through because something that has really chapped my spiritual ass the last couple of years is those spammy coaches that are showing up about manifestation. And it's so
Yes.
easy.
Yes.
Take these quantum leaps.
Yes.
There is no overnight success. It is tiny steps that lead to quantum leap. So practice the law of
Yeah.
momentum. Just
Absolutely.
1% a day.
Mhm.
1% a day means a 365% increase and
Increase over the year.
improvement in a year, right?
Beautiful. Yeah.
So it's
And
not about
yeah.
doing more, it's being intentional with your 1%.
Mm. That's a really good, valuable point. We sometimes get stuck, right? We get stuck in the moment, whether it's the day, the week, the month.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't mean we can't be taking steps forward.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite ideas is a rolling stone catches no moss, right?
Mm.
If we don't just stay put where we're at, but we just move forward each day, whatever that looks like. And sometimes that just means shifting our energy, right?
Mm-hmm.
Shifting so we don't physically feel stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's a good visualization for the 8 as well that loves momentum.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It reminds me of the therapist that I saw after I lost my mom. She was just brilliant. I miss her so much. She was a great spiritual teacher as well. She had me practice journaling every day,
Mm-hmm.
3 sentences, tops. And all I needed to do was write down how I felt that day.
Mm.
And I thought, that's simple.
Yeah.
And part of me wanted her to challenge me more. I was like, I'm willing to go on a 2-week retreat in Hawaii if you want me to, please. She said, no, just write this down. And I look back on that practice and realized it's the reason why I have such strong emotional intelligence today.
Yeah. That's a profound practice
Mm-hmm.
because we don't need to run off and do these things that we think we need to do to accelerate our path, right?
Mm-hmm.
Having an awareness right here and now of what you're feeling today
Yeah.
and how to work through that today or
Mm-hmm.
tomorrow or when you reflect in a month.
Mm-hmm. And it is the antidote to that low vibration of the 8. The low vibe of the 8 is
Mm.
playing small. The low vibration of the 8 is staying in overwhelm because you're seeing too many steps ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And so it supports us to, what's that one next right action that I can take that's going to move me into a higher vibrational state to align with.
Yeah, one of the things I've struggled with over the years is overthinking. And I
Mm-hmm.
think this can keep us stuck.
Mm-hmm.
And I know a lot of people struggle with overthinking things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the overthinking leads to inaction. And then time passes and then we're stuck in this overthinking. So that small steps is really important. And it sounds like it's going to be really important in the coming year too. And
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't have to be steps in the direction you think you need to be moving. I like the idea of just writing down how you're feeling today.
Yeah. Simple. Have an
Hmm.
apple.
Yeah.
Simple. Put Himalayan salt and lime in your water. It is
Mm.
so delicious. It makes you think
Mm.
that you're drinking a margarita, but you're
Mm.
not.
Oh,
And
that
it
sounds
gives you
nice.
so many electrolytes.
Yes.
It charges the water. It makes it alive. Hold the glass of water, set an intention, swirl a crystal in it before you put the
Yeah.
salt in the lime. Like, it's these very simple, small things that you can do that have a profound impact. And that's what I love about the law of momentum as one of these soulful strategies to support us in.
That's beautiful. I really love that too. It's helped me a lot in my life as well. But you've got to keep moving,
Yeah,
whatever that may
absolutely.
be, right?
Yeah. Along the lines of what you said of being very heady,
Hmm.
overthinking things,
Yeah.
this is also a year to continue being seen and heard and to step
Mm.
up and speak your truth. So the 7 energy kick-started that,
Yeah.
and the 8 is going to help us show up in that a little bit more,
Amplify that.
amplify that. And the reason for it is clarity doesn't come through thought,
Hmm.
clarity comes through action,
Absolutely.
right? So when we
Absolutely.
speak those words, we cast those spells, and it supports us in the manifesting like a boss. Um, I loved this one too because it's a rebel energy. Don't ask for permission in
Mm.
2024. Don't ask for permission. And when I asked my team for clarity on this,
Hmm.
they said, "You're overthinking it.
Here we go.
Like, just be a rebel. Just do the thing. Just do the thing."
Yeah.
And it makes sense for the 8.
Hmm.
Here's an example, and this will help everybody connect with the 8 energy as well. Just watch any Robin Williams film,
Oh,
or
yes.
go find a documentary about
Yes.
his life and his work. He's a ruling number 8.
Oh,
And when you think about the bodies of work that he did, Hook, Mrs. Doubtfire, The Birdcage,
mm-hmm.
Dead Poet Society,
Yeah. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Mm-hmm.
What Dreams May Come, the vastness of his work. He made people feel pain. He made people he invited people to go in the depths of pain with him, to sadness, to sorrow. He also invited people to come to levels of joy, pure and utter joy and hope. He
Yeah.
guided people through that whole spectrum of emotion in his bodies of work. He didn't ask people permission.
No.
He did this movie Popeye. I don't know if you remember this
No.
one.
I
I
don't.
loved Popeye, and I loved Olive Oil as a child. I loved that cartoon.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this movie and it tanked. Like, the reviews were terrible. It was one of his first films. And I truly believe the reason why it was looked down upon is because it was created before its time. For people in my genre and my age category who grew up with Popeye and Olive Oil,
Mm-hmm.
to look at it now, it's quite spectacular. There were several people that told Robin, don't do it, and he did it anyways.
Yeah.
And I love that about him, and I love that message that came through. And I literally did start, it came through Don't Ask Permission. This documentary about Robin came on, and I lost him right before I lost my mother. I
Mm-hmm.
said that like he's my friend or something, but it
He
did,
felt like a
like,
friend, though.
we lost him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
right,
did.
right. And so
2014. Yeah.
I felt that sorrow, and I started watching it, and I do this all the time now. I'm like, what was his birthday? What's his numbers? What's his energetic code?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh, this is why it came in my path. This is why my team put this in my path, because he is helping me understand to don't ask permission. And the don't ask permission leads into, you're going to fail. This is about learning how to fail forward.
Yeah. He's come up like 2 or 3 times, like in the last week and a half. So having you bring him up is just so interesting. I
Absolutely.
loved him. I've loved him since I was a little kid.
Mm-hmm.
But the snippets that I saw on him, just, I mean, I was belly laughing, and he does it. He did it just seamlessly
Right.
and irreverent and funny. And, but yeah, feeling all of those emotions. And I don't sit here and pause and go, he didn't ask for permission to do any of that.
No.
Right. I just
No.
say, wow, how brave, how
Mm-hmm.
courageous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. And a brilliant example of the 8. He showed up as a master in his craft. And when
Yeah.
he
He really
wasn't
did.
working, he was a hermit.
He was. Mm-hmm.
The 8. Last, soulful strategy, honor
Mm-hmm.
our cycles.
Mm-hmm.
As females, we have 28-day cycles.
Mm-hmm.
And we're shoved into a 24-hour cycle.
Yeah.
And it doesn't work. It does not work.
And a
We have,
365-day year.
right? It doesn't work. We have seasons. That
Yeah.
makes a lot more sense,
Right.
to work with the seasons. I don't see ever January as the beginning of a new year. I see
Right.
it more as March.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
I
calling in
don't
of
know if I'm
spring.
biased because I'm born in the spring, so it's my new year, but it
Yeah.
makes more it makes sense. It
Mm-hmm.
makes more sense to have
It
a
makes
new
sense
year,
to me too. Yeah.
but honor the cycles, and whatever that looks like for you. If it's your 28-day cycle, if it's the seasons that you're going to look at. I created the Soulful Planner for that reason, so people can understand numerology cycles, so we can understand those manifestation cycles, and honoring the cycles of numerology, these energetic patterns that are coming
Mm-hmm.
through. And in doing so, again, we calibrate with that 8 energy that loves the momentum and loves that flow and loves that ease. So if it's a time of rest, rest.
Yes. Yeah, that's so important. When we resist, when we push against those pieces, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason that the flowers don't grow in the winter, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason we need to go inward in these seasons, and then display outward in other seasons. Yeah, those are a lot to think about, a lot to ponder. But it feels very expansive. It feels like you can move with ease into an 8-year, allowing the energy to flow freely as long as you're willing to step into it.
I'm excited for it. I'm excited to reclaim the power of infinite abundance and to guide other people to do it and to watch other people do it and embrace it and just increase their capacity for more abundance, not doing more, but increase their capacity for more abundance, more love, more ease, more joy, more freedom, just by doing things that they love to do and doing things that they chose to do as a part of their soul contract and their purpose.
Wow, that's wonderful. Yeah, this feels so resonant.
Good.
Yeah. How can people get in touch with you?
AnnMarieMcKenzie.com. I own all the domains of how to spell my name incorrectly, so it will take you because I'm smart like that. AnnMarieMcKenzie.com. That's, you can find me on socials as well. Ann Marie McKenzie 13. How we can work together is there. I just want to say that it gets to be easy. That's what I'm here to do, is to help people make sure that it gets to be easy. And one of the number one things that I'll be supporting people to work through in 2024, I think Michael Beckwith is the one who he wrote about this. The greatest lie is being told that we are not enough and that there is not enough. So shifting that scarcity mindset into enoughness. So if you head to my website, there are a lot of opportunities for us to connect and work together so you can anchor into enough, remembering that you are enough and remembering that there is enough and reclaiming the power of infinite abundance.
Beautiful. The frequency of the future feels, there's a lot of possibility. Yeah. But it feels different after the few years that we've had. And then it feels like we're moving in a direction that feels supportive. And it feels expansive. Feels like there's a lot of room, spaciousness. But we have to meet it. We have to meet it there. We have to decide to show up.
Yes.
So let's wrap this up. So just one of the things I like to ask all of our guests is, what is your grounded guidance wisdom, your unique parting wisdom for our community?
You two are a spiritual badass. You have a very strong intuition and you have psychic gifts. Use them, listen to them, believe them, and have fierce faith.
Thank you, Ann Marie.
Thank you, Karen. And thank you, everyone who listened to this episode. I really appreciate your attention and this opportunity to connect to the 2024 energy, this universal 8 energy year, to reclaim the power of infinite abundance. Thanks.
Thank you for joining us today on the Grounded Guidance podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving a review. Your feedback helps us reach more curious minds like yours. Until next time, stay grounded, stay guided, and keep stretching your edges to think differently. Take care, my friends.